My mom warned me. She's only after your money. I defended my fiancée. Then I faked losing my job to test her. My fiancée packed her bags within an hour. I sent her a photo of my bank balance with the caption, "Mom was right." And then, I, 29, male, am sitting here in an apartment that feels a hell of a lot quieter than it did 2 weeks ago. To give you the full picture, I've done pretty well for myself. I got into cybersecurity right out of college, started a consultancy firm with my business partner, and we scaled up fast. I'm not billionaire rich, but I have a healthy portfolio and a paid-off condo in the city. I grew up middle class, so I never felt the need to flash it. I met my fiancée 2 years ago. She was a marketing coordinator, charming, funny, and seemingly down-to-earth. At least, she was until the ring went on her finger. That's when we started to feel a lot like me paying for things she wanted. The friction started with my mother. My mom is a retired school teacher, sharp as a tack, and she has this radar for BS that is terrifyingly accurate. The first time she met my fiancé, the dinner conversation was dominated by my fiancé talking about how she needed to upgrade her lease to a luxury SUV because it was safer for future kids. My mom just sipped her tea, watched her, and didn't say a word. 3 months ago, things escalated. We were planning the wedding, and we had agreed on a budget of $40,000. That is a lot of money in my book, but I wanted her to be happy. Then, the invoices started coming in for me to review. She had booked a venue that cost $65,000 just for the rental. Not food, not alcohol, just the empty room. When I confronted her about it, she didn't apologize. She got defensive and threw out a line that should have been a red flag the size of a billboard. She was scrolling through her phone, not even looking at me, and said, "You have the money. Why are you being so stingy? This is my day. It reflects on you, too. Do you want your business partners thinking you're cheap?" That line stuck with me. It ate at me. I vented to my mother a week later, expecting her to tell me to compromise or that weddings make people crazy. Instead, Mom set her coffee mug down hard on the table and looked me dead in the eye. "She is only after your money," Mom said. Her voice wasn't angry. It was flat, factual, like she was stating the weather. I argued with her for an hour. I told her she was being judgmental, that she didn't know my fiancé's heart. I left my parents' house angry, feeling like I had to protect my fiancé's honor. But the seed was planted. It was a rotting little feeling in my gut that I couldn't shake. The breaking point finally came last Tuesday. I came home early and found my fiancée on the phone with her best friend, who was also the maid of honor. She didn't hear me come in. She was laughing, saying, "I know, right?" I told him the catering is $500 a head. It's actually $250. I'm going to use the difference to put a down payment on that Cartier watch he said was too frivolous. He never checks the line items. She paused, listened to her friend, then laughed again. "He won't leave. He's obsessed with me. I have him wrapped." I walked back out the front door silently. I sat in my truck, shaking. It wasn't just a theft. And yes, skimming off the top of your own wedding budget to buy luxury goods is theft. It was the disrespect, the absolute certainty that I was a sucker she could milk dry. I drove straight to my mom's house and told her everything. Mom didn't say, "I told you so." She just said 2 words, "Test her." She told me to lose it all. Tell her the business went under. A lawsuit, fraud, something big. Tell her the accounts are frozen, and I'm looking at bankruptcy. See if she stays for the struggle. I went home and spent 2 days setting the stage. I had my business partner send me a fake legal notice. I drafted a frantic email. I moved the majority of my liquid cash, about 99% of it, into a separate holding account that my fiancé didn't know about, leaving the main checking account we use for bills with a balance of exactly $14.50. I walked into the apartment the next afternoon at 2 p.m. I looked like hell. I hadn't slept, partially for the act, partially because I was terrified of what I was about to find out. My fiancée was on the couch, looking at swatches for table runners. She looked annoyed that I was home early. "I thought you were meeting the caterer?" she asked. "It's over," I said. My voice cracked. I didn't have to fake the emotion. The adrenaline was real. The firm. It's over. She dropped the fabric. What are you talking about? We got hit with a massive IP lawsuit. A class action. They froze everything. I lied, tossing the fake legal notice on the coffee table. My partner settled without telling me. We're liable for everything. The accounts are drained. I checked the balance. I have $14. I sat on the edge of the chair, putting my head in my hands. I'm going to lose the condo. I'm going to have to file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. We're going to have to move in with my parents for a year or two until I can get back on my feet. I waited. This was the moment. This was where the woman who loved me would come over, hug me, and say we'll figure it out. The silence stretched for 10 seconds. Then 20. So, she started, her voice ice cold. The wedding. We have to cancel. I said, looking up. I can't pay for it. I can't pay for anything. And the prenup? She asked. Doesn't matter, I said. There's nothing to protect anymore. She stood up. She didn't look at the legal paper. She looked at me with a mixture of disgust and panic. I am not moving in with your mother. It's temporary. I pleaded, leaning into the role. I just need you to stand by me. I can rebuild. I just need you. She laughed. It was a sharp, cruel sound. Rebuild? You're almost 30. If you're starting from zero now, you're dead weight. I'm not spending my prime years clipping coupons because you screwed up. She walked past me into the bedroom. I heard the suitcase zipper. She was fast, scary fast. It was like she had a go bag mentally prepared. I followed her into the bedroom. Stop. We're getting married in 2 months. You're really going to walk out because I hit a rough patch. She was throwing clothes into her designer duffel, one I had bought her for Christmas. This isn't a rough patch, she spat, not breaking her rhythm. This is a sinking ship, and I'm not drowning with you. God, I knew I should have pushed for the house title to be in my name sooner. That stung. She wasn't just leaving. She was angry she hadn't extracted more value before the crash. You said you loved me. I said quietly. I love the potential, she said, zipping the bag. I love the ambition. This pathetic crying on the couch routine, this isn't what I signed up for. She grabbed her jewelry box. I'm staying at my friend's place. Don't contact me until you have a plan to fix this that doesn't involve me living in a basement. Leave the ring, I said. She froze. She looked down at the 2-carat diamond on her hand. No, I paid for it, I said. If you're leaving, leave the ring. Consider it severance, she sneered. For 2 years of my time wasted. She brushed past me. She didn't look back. She didn't cry. Click of the lock felt like a gunshot. I looked at the clock. It had been exactly 45 minutes since I told her the lie. My mom said she'd run, but even Mom didn't predict a sub-hour departure time. I went to the window and watched her get into an Uber. As she drove away, the sadness evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard rage. I waited 10 minutes. Then I opened my banking app. I took a screenshot of my main savings account, the one I had hidden. The balance read $1,420,500. I opened our text thread. She had already blocked me on Instagram and changed her relationship status. She moves fast. I sent the photo. Below it, I typed 3 words. Mom was right. I watched the bubbles appear instantly. She hadn't blocked my number yet, probably in case I managed to salvage some cash she could claim. The phone rang immediately. I declined it. It rang again. Declined. Then the text started rolling in. What is this? Is this a joke? Baby, pick up, please. I was just scared. I had a panic attack. I didn't mean what I said. I'm coming back. We need to talk. I turned my phone off, but the story doesn't end there. Because my ex-fiancée in her panic and greed made a mistake, a massive one. Remember how she mentioned she was going to use the catering overcharge to buy a watch? When I started digging into the wedding expenses that night, fully awake and fueled by caffeine and vengeance, I found something much worse than a padded catering bill. I logged into the vendor portal for our venue to cancel everything officially. When I pulled up the invoices, I noticed the bank account number for the venue deposit she had asked me to wire money to last month wasn't the venue's corporate account. It was an LLC registered in Delaware. I did a quick business entity search. The LLC was Elite Event Solutions. The registered agent? Her friend, the maid of honor. They weren't just padding bills. They were fabricating them. The $20,000 second deposit I sent 3 weeks ago never went to the venue. It went to the friend's shell company. They had been funneling my money out of the wedding budget and splitting it. I wasn't just dealing with a gold digger. I was dealing with a criminal. The next morning, I turned my phone back on. 47 missed calls, 112 texts, voicemails ranging from sobbing apologies to screaming threats. Then I saw the notification that made my blood boil. She had posted on Facebook a long, tearful status update. I'm devastated to announce that the wedding is off. I tried to stand by him, but when I found out about the gambling debts and the lies, I had to prioritize my safety. I'm heartbroken that the man I loved turned out to be a monster. Please respect my privacy. She was spinning the narrative. She was trying to get ahead of the bankruptcy story by painting me as a degenerate gambler, so she wouldn't look like she left because I was broke. She was destroying my reputation to save face. My phone started blowing up with messages from relatives and friends asking if I was okay, if I had a gambling problem. I sat there, staring at the screen. She wanted a war? She wanted to use dirty tricks? Fine. I called my lawyer. Then I called a non-emergency line for the police department to report wire fraud and grand larceny. But before the legal hammer dropped, I decided to give her one last test. I unblocked her number. Immediately, my phone lit up. "Thank God," she screamed into the phone when I answered. "Baby, I was so worried. I was just so scared yesterday. I came back to the apartment, but you changed the locks. You posted that I was a gambling addict." I said, keeping my voice level. "I had to," she sobbed. "People were asking questions. I didn't want them to know you failed. I was trying to protect your professional reputation by making it sound like a personal issue. I can delete it. I'll delete it right now. Just tell me, is that screenshot real? Do you still have the money?" "The money is safe," I said. "The bankruptcy was a test you failed in 45 minutes. Silence. Then a shift in tone. The tears stopped instantly. "You manipulated me," she hissed. "That's emotional abuse. You tricked me into distress. You know I have anxiety about financial instability. You stole $20,000, I said. Dead silence. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said, but her voice wavered. "The wire transfer for the venue. It went to your friend's LLC. I have the bank traces. I have the entity registration. That's wire fraud. That's a felony." She laughed, but it sounded nervous. "You can't prove that. She is a consultant. She helped with the planning. That was her fee. For a venue deposit? No. I spoke to the venue this morning. They never received the second payment. They were about to cancel our date." "Listen to me," she said, her voice dropping to a low, threatening growl. "If you try to do anything, I will ruin you. You think that Facebook post was bad? I know about the creative accounting your firm does. Note, my firm is completely clean, but she was grasping at straws. I will tell everyone you beat me. I will get a restraining order. I will make you untouchable in this city. You give me half the money in that account as a settlement for wasting my time, or I go nuclear." "You're trying to blackmail me," I stated. "I'm negotiating a severance package," she said. "I want $700,000 wired to my account by tomorrow noon, or I go to the police and tell them you threatened my life." "Okay," I said. "Let's meet. Tonight, 7 p.m., my place. We'll sign an agreement. I'll give you a check." "Cashier's check," she demanded. "Done." She hung up, thinking she had won. She thought she had me cornered. She thought that because I was a nice guy who paid for everything, I would roll over to avoid a scandal. She forgot one thing. I work in cybersecurity. Documentation is my religion, and I record my calls. And yes, my state is a one-party consent state, so what I did was perfectly legal. I spent the afternoon busy. I met with my lawyer, who listened to the recording and looked at the bank transfers with wide eyes. We drafted a document, but it wasn't a settlement. Then I called the detective I had spoken to earlier. I told him she was coming over to extort me regarding the stolen funds. He was very interested in the wire fraud aspect, especially since her friend had a prior record for check kiting. My private investigator found that little nugget in about an hour. The police set up a simplified sting. They wanted her to accept the money or reiterate the threat in person. At 6:55 p.m., my ex-fiancée knocked on my door. She was dressed up, makeup perfect, wearing a dress I bought her. She looked like the victim she was pretending to be. Her friend was with her, waiting in the car for safety. I let my ex in. She walked around the apartment like she owned it again. "I'm glad you came to your senses," she said, sitting on the sofa. "I really didn't want to make this ugly. Here's a check," I said, holding up an envelope. She reached for it. "First," I said, placing a document on the table, "I need you to sign this. It states that our relationship is over, and you have no further claims on my assets." She scanned it, smirking, standard NDA stuff. "Fine." She signed it without reading the fine print. She grabbed the envelope and tore it open. Inside, there was a single piece of paper. It wasn't a check. It was a printout of the wire transfer to her friend's LLC with the word fraud stamped on it in red ink. "What is this?" She looked up confused. "That's the evidence," I said, "and the recording of you blackmailing me earlier? That's the cherry on top." "You recorded me?" She stood up, face pale. "You can't use that." "I can," I said, "and I did." There was a heavy knock at the door. Not a polite knock, a police knock. Her eyes went wide. She looked at the door, then at me. "You didn't. You tried to ruin my life. You stole from me. You threatened to falsely accuse me of domestic violence. You thought I was weak." I walked to the door and opened it. 2 officers stood there. "MS. Last name?" "No," she screamed, backing away. "He's lying. He's hitting me. Help." She tried to throw herself on the floor and fake a scene, but the officers were already inside. They had been briefed. They knew about the extortion attempt. "Ma'am, stand up," the officer said sternly. "We have a warrant for your arrest regarding grand larceny and extortion." They cuffed her. The entitlement finally broke. She started wailing, begging me to tell them it was a misunderstanding. She looked at me with mascara running down her face, the face of a woman who had never been told no in her life. "Baby, please. Tell them. I'm your fiancé." "My fiancé left me when she thought I was broke," I said coldly. "You're just a stranger who stole my money." They walked her out. Outside, they also picked up the friend who was waiting in the car. It turns out, sitting in the getaway vehicle registered to the fraudulent LLC while your partner commits extortion inside is a bad tactical move. It's been 2 weeks since that night. The legal process is grinding forward. Because of the amount, $20,000 theft plus the attempted extortion, the district attorney is pushing for felony charges. My ex's parents called me, screaming that I ruined her life. I sent them the audio file of her saying she didn't care if I was dead weight and threatening to frame me for abuse. They haven't called back since. I post a follow-up on my social media, not emotional, just factual. The wedding is canceled due to financial infidelity and legal matters currently pending investigation. I am not, nor have I ever been, a gambler. Thank you for the support. My reputation is intact. Actually, it's better. My clients respected that I handled the crisis with receipts. I got the ring back. 2. It's sitting in a pawn shop safety deposit box until the evidence locker releases it. I lost a fiancé, but I saved my future. I'm currently sitting in my quiet apartment, drinking a beer with my mom. She didn't say, "I told you so." She just toasted her glass to mine and said, "To the trash taking itself out." I learned that love isn't just about the good times. It's about who stays when the ship starts taking on water. And if you have to fake a drowning to see who grabs a life vest and who grabs your wallet, it's a test worth taking. Don't ignore the red flags, guys. And listen to your mother.